All right, folks, we're going to open up with Coach Day, and we're going to go straight to questions. Front row left, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Brian. What does Notre Dame's defense do especially well? What concerns you the most about that?
Well, they are coached very well. Do a great job of mixing up the different styles of defense that they play. And they have a new defense coordinator, so certainly Marcus has his fingerprints all over the defense. But now that you have Al Golden there, it's a little bit of a different staff. So I think probably just a little bit of the unknown going into the game.
If CJ needed to go out of the game for whatever reason, would Kyle be the one to come in at quarterback for you guys?
Yeah, in the first game he would. Yeah.
We'll go front row right, Austin Ward.
Cool. Ryan, with Keith Travion in mind, do you have a preference for how you like, or an idea of how you want to handle the rotation with those two at this point?
Yeah, we're going to see how the game goes, but they're both going to play. And they both have very good camps, and we're going to need them both in this game. They I think have really done a great job in all three areas. They've done a good job in running the football, and they've done a good job in the pass game, and done a good job in protection. So, all three of those guys could get in the game. Dallin might even get in the game, but we'll start with Trey, and mine will be in there real quick.
Where do you see the biggest improvement or difference from Travion from this time a year ago to now?
I think when you come in as a freshman, everything's just moving so fast. It's just having a little bit more experience now and going through things. Again, everything you're doing isn't for the first time. There's a lot to be said for that. So I think just overall the banked reps in his mind.
And that would be Rivals 97.1, Austin.
Thank you.
See you, Jared.
Let's go third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
And Ryan Freeman was saying yesterday that he thinks a big key of this game is going to be stopping the run and being able to run the ball. Do you have a similar approach?
Yeah, same thing. And that's really where we all start is stopping the run. And they do a good job running the football. So we're going to have to do a great job of being assignment sound and, playing with great fundamentals. Doing a great job on third down to get off the field. But the same thing on offense, you have to establish the run. It's very, very important, and something we've been working very hard on.
Obviously, those were things that didn't go your way. The game didn't go well last year. How much of a point of emphasis has that been in game planning for this game, making sure stop the run are big?
It's a point of emphasis for every game that we play, though. We have spent a lot of time on it, but not any more time than we have in the past. I mean, that's where the games are won and lost, is up front. So, but have certainly spent a lot of time on that.
Right in front of him, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Right, obviously you're trying to prepare for a game, but there's obviously going to be a lot of recruits walking around here, maybe more than you had pretty much in your career here. Is there any extra message you have for those guys, and maybe how do you handle that while also trying to focus on the top line matchup? Yeah,
we've had conversations leading up to this game about a lot of our recruits coming to this game, and it's been exciting for them, and we are going to have a big number here. And I think most of the conversation leading up to the game has been had, the recruiting has been had. Now it's time to go play the game and just allow them the opportunity to see what an atmosphere at Ohio State's like, playing in Ohio Stadium, top 10 matchup, ESPN game, just the whole atmosphere, just take it all in and then picture themselves being on that field. And I think a lot of guys are really excited. We got people flying in from all over the country here to be part of this game. So happy that they're going to be with us for this one.
CJ and Jackson specifically, that relationship since they've gotten here, how have you seen those two kind of
Well, I think it started in high school, and then it went on to when they were, in the scout team together. But they were together on a couple of these rivals camps, and they knew each other when they were in the recruiting circles. And then when they got here, it started right off the bat. I think they were on the scout team for a little while, and then quickly grew to last year. So they've just naturally kind of had a great relationship and understand each other's body language. They have a good connection.
Behind Stephen, Jacob Benj, the Lantern.
Yeah, right. Just talking about Marcus Freeman in his press conference yesterday. I know Notre Dame's got a lot of Buckeye connections on his coaching staff. Just what's your history with Marcus Freeman and some of the other coaches that have ties to Ohio State?
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at both staffs. There are a lot of crossover. We have some Notre Dame folks that coached at Notre Dame and vice versa. There's guys who are Buckeyes over there or coached there here. So it's a small world and it's kind of unique, but it's exciting, and I think that's we're all competitive and looking forward to play Saturday night.
And Notre Dame as well will start at quarterback. first time, similar to maybe your team last year. Just what do you know about Notre Dame's quarterback going into Saturday's game?
Very athletic, very talented, highly recruited. Very talented. Seeing his ability to throw, his ability to run. So, we got to do a good job. We're expecting high level play.
Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, just to follow up on Kyle being there behind CJ in case of injury, what, obviously you have a couple of guys, him and Devin, what do you feel confident about Kyle in that number 2 spot for this week?
Well, he's been in the program for a couple of years, and Devin's he's right there too. He's working really hard, and as the season goes on, he's got to continue to grow. But going into this first one, Kyle just has a little bit more experience coming into it, understands the offense just a little bit more, has a little bit more under his belt. So, we feel like if we need to, that he would be the guy.
For this game, is that something you keep open throughout the year? Have both those guys competing for the next?
Well, they're both gonna, things change, but right now it's Kyle, and we'll just keep, see where it goes. Those guys got to show up every day, compete, and get better. Devin's defense, he's only been here for about 7 months, so I think Kyle's ahead of him right now just because of experience, and just want to make sure those guys continue to get better. And when they have an opportunity to get in the game, then they got to go prove that they can do it in the game. Because one of the hardest things is being a backup quarterback when you're getting you're getting certain reps in practice, but you're not getting game reps. And so as the season goes on, we'll get to continue to evaluate those guys.
Big picture question about the series in Notre Dame. You guys have historically not played a ton in the regular season. This is only been the 5th ever meeting. OSU and Notre Dame once home in the 90s, home in the 30s. Do you have any thoughts on the frequency you would like to play Notre Dame? I know you haven't obviously played this home and home yet, but just want to get your thoughts on that.
I don't really have many thoughts on that. No, I mean, it's certainly exciting to be a part of it. Not only is it the 100th year anniversary of the shoe, but just the fact that, like you said, it's a special matchup. Having Notre Dame, such a prestigious program, the Midwest, and then Ohio State getting together for home and home is exciting. We saw this on the schedule a couple years back, and here we are.
Right next door, Tim May, Letterman Row.
What kind of, how many more minutes of sleep do you get a night leading up to this game, knowing you have this starting quarterback back and what he can bring to the table, and where do you see him stepping up headed into this one?
Yeah, it's a different feel from last year. Everything was new last year, so that's different. But there are other challenges. There are other things that are new. So, but knowing that have somebody who's been through the games before and been through the fire, and that does help. And it isn't about helping you get any sleep. It's just what can they handle. And in terms of putting in the game plan and things that we can hopefully make game time adjustments with, because there's a Rolodex of plays that under his belt that we can go back to if we need to. And even just communicating what's going on in game for guys who have been in first games are important, because it's just on both sides there's going to be things that we haven't seen, and so we have to be able to make in-game adjustments quickly. And having experience certainly helps in that area.
How much of a bonus did you look back on it? Was that Rose Bowl? Obviously, you come from behind the wind, et cetera, but just getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and Meke Buka involved, Julian Fleming too.
I hope.
Because of what they were replacing, et cetera. As you look back on it, how much valuable was that?
I hope it was big. Yeah. I mean, if you didn't have that experience in that setting, you'd be even more sleepless nights. But they did. That doesn't mean anything. They still have to go play. But at least there's a reference point there, which is good for them, and hopefully it does pay off.
Third row left, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Ryan, now that he's had basically a full year of playing linebacker, kind of got his feet under, what have you noticed about Steele over the last month in terms of being more comfortable with that position? And I'm wondering if he, flashing differently in camp than maybe he did last year.
Yeah, like same thing, having a year under your belt of playing is important. And I think that room is doing well. I think that they see it from a wider scope, being with Jim every day, in the meetings. They get to see it, they make the calls. So I think, he's one more year veteran, which is, again, hopefully pays off on Saturday night. But I think as a group, they all have more experience. Look at Tommy, look at Cody, look at some of the guys who hadn't really played going into that year when we had to replace all 4 of those linebackers who took the majority of the reps. At least this year's team coming back has more experience in the linebacker room.
When you're playing an opponent that has a former assistant of yours on their defensive staff, do you need to change the way you go about things in terms of signals? Is there any value to having maybe more insight personnel knowledge that Al might have since he was here on the practice field?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Al did an unbelievable job when he was here, and he's a good friend of mine, and have nothing but respect for him. So, he'll have those guys charged up, but yeah, certainly, he knows a lot about this program, what we do. So definitely have to be aware of that and change things up.
Deep left, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Coach, thanks for spending some time with us. I know you talked a little bit about the aura around this game. Can you give us an idea of how much you appreciate the tradition in college football? Two programs that may be at the forefront of tradition this week.
Yeah, it's hard to probably appreciate right now because there's just so much going on. But when you think about what an opportunity this is for Saturday night, just getting Notre Dame and Ohio State together, first game of the year, 100th year anniversary, the shoe, all of the things combined. What a great opportunity, and that's what college football is all about: is bringing people back and making it special. And this is about our players. And I talked to them the other day about when you grow up and you're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you watch a game on TV on Saturday night, and then you wake up the next morning on Sunday and you're playing in the backyard, and all of a sudden you're taking on the personality of guys who you watched the night before. And you can see a couple of them nod. And I said, well, that's going to be you. I try to remind guys that every year when playing environments like this. And that's the opportunity that's there. So that's why we got to work so hard this week to be a competitive excellence on Saturday. So working really hard to make sure that we're prepared for this thing.
As a head coach, that led a program through the COVID pandemic and all the unique challenges that you've kind of had year to year, what makes this opener unique for you, this season unique?
I think it's unique. Every year is unique, but what's significant about this year is, again, probably our schedule bookended by Notre Dame and Team Up North, 8 home games, 100th year anniversary, a little bit more of an experienced crew coming back. So I think those are probably the things that are most noteworthy.
Let's go deep right, Jeremy Birmingham, Rivals.
Right. Obviously, in your 4 years here, you guys generally try to avoid the huge recruiting events during game days. But with the game day at night, does it make it easier? And are you worried about striking a balance between finding time with kids and all their families coming in and just being ready for Saturday night?
Yeah, all the focus is going to be on the game. We have a great recruiting staff that's going to do everything they can to make sure they put on a great show and be great hosts for our recruits. But time will be limited. Maybe after the game on Sunday, that we'll have some time to catch up. But we got to focus on Notre Dame. And yeah, it's great. We have a lot of people flying in from different parts of the country. They play on Friday night. They're able to come in on Saturday because it's a night game. So this is unique that way. So we do have big numbers. And I say all the time, every time we come to visit, it's a different experience. This one is about watching the atmosphere and watching the game with Ohio State. When they come in the spring or the winter, we get to spend more one-on-one time. That's typically the focus. But this focus is about seeing the environment, watching the atmosphere, and then visualizing yourself on the field playing for the Buckeyes.
With the 20th year anniversary of the 2002 National Championship, a lot of guys coming to town. Do you have anything different planned with Chip Tressel as far as talking to the team or being around the team?
Yeah, so really great to see those guys get recognized. And not only is the national championship team a special team because they won it, but they've had such an impact on Columbus, on Ohio State, and certainly Coach Tressel's had a great impact on me, and he's been a great resource. But it's also all the players, and to see those guys be a part of the game Saturday is going to be important. And I'm glad they're a part of it. I'm glad they're getting recognized because it is more than just that. And I think it goes to show you if you become a national championship here at Ohio State, a national championship team at Ohio State, it kind of lives for a long, long time, and it means so much. So great to see those guys recognized. A lot of respect.
Fourth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
When you look at this defense last year, you guys rotated a lot of guys because of Inexperience. Now Larry says he's got 12 guys. He might be able to rotate on the defensive line. The safety room looks like it's got 6 guys. You feel more confident in installing a rotation of guys that you can actually play heading into this opener than you did heading to Minnesota when you were platooning guys?
Yeah, I think we know what we have, and I think guys have settled into some stuff. But at the end of the day, in big games, our really good players have to play really good. And, if we're going to play depth at different positions, that's great. Those guys got to play, but our really good players have to play really well. That's kind of how it goes. And it is good to know that we have depth going into the season. And you'll see different guys in the game, but it'll be a lot different than it did starting the season last year.
And then flip the other side of the ball. Harris obviously started last year, but now finally gets the reins on that left tackle job. for you as the guy who recruited him, guy who's seen him develop, how exciting is it just to see him finally be at that spot where everyone expects him to be so good, and then to also be able to go against somebody who's projected to be a first round pick and Isaiah? How exciting is that for you to be able to see?
Yeah, I mean, Foskey's a tremendous player, very athletic, like you said, projected first rounder, so it's going to be a huge challenge for him and for DeJuan in this game. And, we got to know exactly where he is at all times. But yeah, I thought that the key for Paris was that he was willing to go in and guard and get a whole year under his belt. And I think that for a lot of guys, they see themselves, well, I'm just a tackle. And if he had seen himself as just a tackle, then he would go into the season with zero experience really on the field. Maybe a few snaps here and there, but because he was willing to go into guard, he's more prepared to play this season at tackle because of that experience. So I think it goes to who he is as a person.
Third row right, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Brian, Tim talked about this earlier. At the end of last year, CJ seemed like there wasn't a lot of room for improvement. You guys, there's always room for improvement, but we didn't think there was much more room. What do you want to see out of it? Where can he improve still?
Well, there's a lot of areas. I think that for the whole offense, we just have to start the season and get going. When you kind of go through the season, we went through last year, finished with the Rose Bowl win, you go into the off season, it's a whole different group. We move some pieces around. Some guys move out, some other guys move in. It's just a different personality. And so as the leader of the offense, you have to do everything you can to get your team to the end zone, whatever that looks like. Last year we had our certain way we did it. The year before, this year is going to look a little different as well. And so certainly the run game is a huge part of that. I think he understands that. It's not about getting the most points or the most yards. It's about winning games, and that's what's important.
And the other thing is, my 93-year-old mother again last night is complaining about why everyone's picking Ohio State number one. They're going to get big heads. It's not good for them. How do you handle that with the team, and do you have a specific person that kind of is in charge of keeping guys from seeing that stuff?
Well, I think coming off of last year, there's no big heads. This team is hungry. This team has been hungry. It's been gritty, and we got to go win this first game, and they know that. There's no big heads on this team right now. We got a lot to prove.
Right behind him, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Brian, any opener has unknowns on both sides. You don't have tape from this year, but when you have a game like this, as opposed to some of the openers in the past, how much does that change what you're doing to try and know as much as possible about this Notre Dame team?
Yeah, every year it's the same story. It's a challenge to figure out what changes and adaptations have been made based on personnel from each side, and in college football, what that means. I think maybe in the NFL, when you're drafting, the system's a system, but when you have new coordinators move in and out, and when you have different players move in and out, graduation, different things, it changes. And so you try to do the best you can to project that, but then in game, you have to have a good contingency plan that you can move quickly and adapt and think on your feet.
And you talked about Paris and DeJuan, but the offensive line as a whole, we've talked about the depth a lot, but how do you feel about that starting group, and what challenge overall does Notre Dame present with their defensive front?
Well, they play multiple fronts, and they're good. They're strong. They're powerful. They're athletic. The linebackers play hard. They do a good job against the run. I feel good about where our offensive line is. I think that we've had a really good camp. I think Justin's done a great job with them. But now they've got to go put it on the field, and that's all that really matters. And I think that's just across the board. You go through so much training for just these few opportunities to play. And so now it's time to go to be competitive excellence, and that's what matters the most is what we do on Saturday night. So I'm excited about what I see, but at the same time, we got to go put it on the field.
Second row left, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach, your offensive players have said routinely that the defense is much improved. They haven't got as many big plays perhaps during this preseason. Which area of the defense, stopping the run, the pass rush, maybe the secondary with pass defense, which one has maybe made the most improvement out of all those areas?
Yeah, I don't know. I think when you look at the front, I think that they are certainly creating a lot of disruption up front and getting after the quarterback and, creating problems up front in the run game. Linebackers are much more improved. They're seeing things and diagnosing things faster. But the secondary as well is playing at a pretty high level. So I think across the board, it's just an overall improvement. I think that the guys are playing with more confidence. I think it's probably the combination of guys on that side of the ball with more experience and then embracing a new scheme.
And just curious what the assignments will be for your assistant coaches up, down for this game or for this season.
Yeah, I think, we've gone back and forth on that. I think on the offensive side, we'll pretty much stay the way we've been. And I think, Jim's done it a couple different ways, and we're going to kind of decide here towards the end of the week what he's going to do.
Front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
All right, even though you have an experienced team, you're playing at home, what's it like for a coach before the first game of the year? Because, there's no preseason, you're playing a top opponent. Just kind of your mindset right now.
I think it's just to try to have a great day today. Because, again, we talk about it all the time. You can plan for the future, but there's nothing you can do about the game yet. All you can do is just have a great day today and focus on the fundamentals, focus on getting better, making sure that everything's clean today in practice. And so, Saturday's going to come and go. How prepared are we going to be when it gets here? And that's really just has to be the focus. I can't sit here and tell you that you sleep well at night because you just don't know anytime you have a new team. But there is more experience with this group than last year, so at least you have, again, a reference point. But every year is new, and there's going to be a lot of excitement in this game, and we have to come in and play well.
Do you feel good about where you are as a team? I mean, obviously you don't know what's going to happen Saturday, but do you feel good about the preparation?
I think we've had an excellent preseason. Yeah, I think the attitudes have been excellent. I think the toughness has been excellent. I think their attention to detail, the edge that they've had. This team wants to be good, and they have an edge to them. They feel like they have something to prove, but that doesn't mean anything until you go play the game on Saturday night. So we'll keep working on that and try to figure out a way to get 1-0.
And one more question about Knowles Johnson. How has he looked at left tackle and his natural position? How good can he be? How good has he been so far?
He's done really well. He's really improved. Moving from tackle to guard and then guard back to tackle is a little bit of an adjustment, but now he's been working well with Justin, and I think he's had his last couple of weeks, he's been excellent.
Go over here to the right, Adam King, WBNS 10 TV.
This is a playoff caliber matchup to start the season in the shoe at nighttime on 100th anniversary. Do you talk to your guys about what Saturday means for college football and how big it's going to be?
I just like what I said yesterday about how the nation will be watching, and you get to be front and center, and everyone was watching, and then wake up the next morning, they can be you, and I think that's important, and it's great for them to realize that. But we can't make it bigger than it is either. We got to make sure that we're focused on what really matters. But the guys know, and this has been on the schedule for a while, and just as it gets closer, you start to feel it a little bit more. But we know this was coming, and we've been preparing all summer.
You've got the best view of the defense. Now that you've had a whole offseason, we're 4 days away. How ready is it? How different?
Yeah, still a couple days away, so we're going to keep preparing all the way till 7:29 when the foot hits the ball. But it's time to go play somebody now. I think as much as our guys are doing a great job of being focused, they want to go play a game and hit somebody else. And I think they're tired of practicing. We can't get tired of practicing. We got to keep working. But no, these guys have been working hard for this moment. And, done a great job with the installation. Did a great job making adjustments and learning and growing. And now it's game planning Notre Dame. So. I think we're in a great place. We'll see you again Saturday night.
Right next door, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, I think along those same lines, this defense has been a work in progress for the last 8 months. Where's your excitement level, your emotional level to finally see that in this?
Yeah, it's going to be great to see. Just a bunch of guys running around with great energy and great confidence, and that's what this thing's going to be. And that's the way they practiced. Just the whole group in general. If you come out and watch practice, you can see it. It's just there's an energy level to them, a confidence, guys buzzing around, playing fast, playing violent, creating chaos out there, and that's going to be fun to watch.
Way over to the right, Dom Tiberi, WBNS 10 TV.
Coach, as you take the pulse of this club, how ready are they to play a game? And you mentioned the edge these guys have. Will every team take the field on Saturday? And I don't know, what keeps you up late right now?
Yeah, well, one thing I tell them all the time is when you play in big games, a lot of guys, they just want to get into the game, get into the game, get into the game. Well, it's only Monday and then today's Tuesday. You know, we have a long way to go before we get to that game. So what happens is if it's just getting into the game, you lose focus on that time. We have to be ready to go at 7:30 on Saturday night. So, you know, we're preparing and we're going to continue to prepare to make sure we're ready right at that moment to play with the mental, physical, and emotional energy that we need. But yeah, I mean, this team certainly, you know, wants to be great, and it's going to start September 3rd.
I mean, you've heard the things. I mean, these guys have talked about it. They heard things that people said about them a year ago and all that. Is there a fire with this team because of some of the comments that were made in the past?
Yeah, but I think when you're at Ohio State, you know, you can't listen to that because they're the same ones that, you know, said things that weren't very good, the same things that are saying that maybe one of the better teams in the country coming into this year. So, you know, when you listen to other people's opinions, you respect them more than your own. So you just have to focus on what really matters and just, you know, kind of distract all the noise and keep it out of the building.
With that said, now, there's always a big target on you guys, and more so than ever. How hard is it to block and to block all that out? I mean, you're hearing this a national championship caliber team, this and that. I mean, you guard against that with your kids?
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about any of those type of things because that's not what the focus is. And the competitive stamina is what we've been talking about because we know that at Ohio State, you have to bring it every single week. And in order to get to reach our goals where we need to be, we have to bring it every day and every game. And so we start looking ahead and you know, lose a day, and then we put ourselves at risk. So focusing on the process, focusing on the day, and making sure that we have the stamina that we need to go win this game.
Got time for two more. Over here to the right, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Another question about the defense, maybe kind of looking back, at what point over these past 8 months did you kind of see the impact that Jim was having on the defense? Like, it was tangible to you that the change that you wanted, the adjustment that you wanted was happening?
Yeah, I don't know if it was one day, but you could just see it over time building just the confidence of the guys. And they play with a lot of decisiveness. They play with a lot of confidence, and they run to the ball. And when you get that kind of pack mentality, that's when you know you start to build something special on defense. And I don't think it happened one day, but it certainly has happened over time.
And with when you brought him on and he's talking about wanting a safety-driven defense, was there something about Perry that you wanted specifically for that position, or was there something about Perry that you wanted on this staff, regardless of how he was going to fit the position?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think that he, you know, I didn't know Perry very well, but everyone who knew Perry spoke very, very highly of him and certainly saw his work when he was at UC. And then an opportunity to spend some time with him during the interview process. And I could tell right away that he was special. He does a great job of communicating. He's very, very intelligent, sees things from a wide view, connects well with the players. So certainly somebody that we were very fortunate to have on our staff.
And final question, second row right, Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, just a specific question on a player. Matthew Jones had a couple of years here where he was in camp and fighting for a starting job and didn't quite get it. We know how important he was to you guys last year as that sixth offensive lineman, but here he is now as a starter. What was his progression, and what do you think of a guy like that, sort of continuing the fight?
Right, that's it, the fight. Yeah, and when I think about Matt, that's what I think about. And, not to put his stuff out there, but he got in front of the team during a team meeting and kind of shared his experiences and what the brotherhood means to him. And it was really powerful because Matt's a man of few words, but he kept coming every single day. And part of this game is showing up every day. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, people out there that maybe would have transferred, maybe would have gone another direction, maybe would have lost hope, but he didn't. He just keep putting one day in front of the other. And now he's got an opportunity to have a great season this year. He just started at Ohio State. So I'm very proud of Matt and the journey that he's been on.
And a lot of people are very connected to their alma mater throughout their lives, right? When you're in this business, you're a college football player who is very important to you, but now you're in college football. You're not a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday job. How do you stay connected to your alma mater? Do you pay attention? What are your feelings when you're in the business of college football? What is your relationship like with the place where you attended and you played college football?
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of your life, and this profession is funny, you know, in a different way. When I grew up, I used to watch the New England Patriots, and then I was coaching for the Philadelphia Eagles and went into Foxborough and played against Brady and Belichick, and I felt like I didn't know if I should cheer for the Patriots or try to beat them. And, you know, it's just, this world is a small world. And, you know, certainly, you know, being part of the University of New Hampshire for me was a big part of my life, and certainly it catapulted me into my career. And so that's been very important to me. But I think for everybody it is, and it's a part of their life, yeah.
And not a joke question. Would you like to see UNH come into the shoe and play you guys some year?
Oh, geez. I don't know. It's a good, I haven't never considered that, but yeah, that'd be fun.
Gene's back. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, no problem. See you guys, thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, you know, the big cities on those things, this is the year of primary
It's like a series.
So the question is, for the series, right?
The way
All right, folks, we're going to have Coach Knowles for only about 15 minutes today. I'm going to open up the questions. We'll go far left. Justin Holbrook, WCMH.
When you first came here, you said this is a job that you dream about. What's going to be going through your neck when you get to go there for the first time and be part of the game basically that you've wanted for a while?
Just doing the job at that point, right? Just calling the first play and then calling the second one. But that's all I'll be thinking about.
How do you keep your players in that same mindset for such a big game and calm their nerves and not think too far ahead?
Well, you know, it's leadership. You know, it's living that and showing them that this is how we operate under pressure. Also by putting the pressure on them during practice, right? And then what I tell them on game day is all their mistakes are on me. So during the week, I make sure they know about their mistakes. You know, and I'm hard on them. But on game day, all their mistakes on me because if they're not ready, it's my fault.
I'm going to go over here to the far right, Coach Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
James, what does carry on the figure bring to the staff? You want to safety your defense, you probably needed a specific person to lead that position. How does he do that, and what else does he bring to that group?
He's a very smart coach, great attitude, always learning, has experience in similar systems, aggressive recruiter, you know, really does it all. He's able to have opinions, you know, valuable opinions for me in terms of game planning and managing our safeties and what they can do, what they can do best.
And you're right here to obviously implement a scheme, but also to maybe make some more mindset changes to this whole defense too. How inextricable were those two things? Do you feel like changing the scheme brings the other thing? Do you see those as two separate goals that you have to try to achieve?
No, it's all one thing. You know, you're installing your scheme, but the whole time you're building a mindset. You know, you're building a mindset of excellence, and this is how we do it, and this is how we're going to do it every day. We're going to do it on the grass in practice, and that's how the game's going to go. So it really is about expectations. You know, once the players know that you care, they'll go to the wall for you, and I believe we're at that point.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
Jim, some coordinators like to be on the sideline, be down there with the guys, some like to quiet to call games from the box. And Ryan said you've done both. Which way do you think you prefer this year?
I prefer what works best. So, you know, I have done both, and that's still under discussion. You know, who knows? Maybe I'll do a half up and a half down.
Did you think that you would have already worked that out before Saturday, or is this
I've got it worked out. I'm just not telling you. That's
Well, we're gonna see you.
okay, well, then you'll see.
Front row left, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Jim. Not a lot of film on their starting quarterback. How does that affect preparation? Are you going back and watching some of his high school film? Just how does that affect your preparation?
I don't go back to high school, but he's played some. So, we've scouted him like you would, done our due diligence. But it is a first game. So really it comes back to your training because you have to be ready for everything, and you have to be able to adjust.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Jim, Marcus Freeman said yesterday that they look back at the Fiesta Bowl last year because that was the defense you created, but they also understand new personnel. You're going to do some different things here. How much are you aware of them watching that when you are planning for this game in particular, or does that not matter and you just focus on what you guys want to do?
No, I'm aware. It's a good game to have, to be able to look at it from both sides, what Oklahoma State did and what our opponent did. So, but it's just another game. Now, you may glean more from it because of the aspects of game planning that go on both sides. But it's just one in many games that you look at.
Front row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Jim, I have a saying that no one ever covers the tight end or rarely covers the tight end consistently. That's just me. But when you look at a tight end like Mayer, what is sort of the secret to sort of like neutralizing or taking him out of a game without like robbing Peter to pay Paul?
You have to mix it up. You have to blend in different coverages and people who are on him coming from different directions. He's an excellent player. He's an NFL player. He has that ability to lean into the coverage, find the open spot. So it is about knowing where he is at all times and making sure that we're changing it up enough with him to keep him off balance.
Are you surprised offenses don't throw the tight end as much as maybe it looks like they should? I mean, does it ever surprise you from your vantage point?
You seem like you have a thing about tight ends.
Yeah, no. I just think they're I just think they're underutilized a lot in the passing game.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion. I just look at who we're playing and what they do. These guys have a great tight end, so we need to make sure we have a game plan for it.
Thanks.
We'll go over here to the far right, Adam King, WBNS 10 TV.
Coach, when you look 4 days till the actual game, how ready is this defense?
We're ready. We're 100% ready to go.
This is your first time running into this year. It's a top 5 matchup at a night game. Are you going to take a moment before kick to kind of appreciate where you are?
No. I'm going to stay focused and in a locked-in mindset and do my job. That's what the players need.
Fourth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Jim, when you first got here, you take a look at the personnel that you've got available to you. You see Denzel, what he did as a true freshman. Now, carrying into the year or two, where have you seen him from when you saw him in January to now take the biggest step?
His feet, his confidence, breaking on the ball. He started out as a very good player, and now I believe he has the potential to be a great player and to compete on a national stage. And when you can say that about your corner, then you're in good shape as a defense.
You had really good corners last year in the defense that finished third national. How you talk about how it's a safety-driven defense. People talk about the defensive line, making sure to get after it, but just how important are is good quarterback play what you do?
Corner, they're on an island. It's a safety-driven defense, but that's only because you have great corners, that you can kind of put into isolation at times. Try to give them help. We try to keep the disguise concept enough so that the offense doesn't know when the corner is getting help and when he's not. But it's extremely important to the defense that those guys are competitive and confident in making plays.
And we're getting ready to wind her down. Second row right, Doug Lamerise, Cleveland.com.
I don't know if you'll answer this or not, given the previous no, but You've been in this business 35 years.
Mm.
You've been at some great places. Not that you're going to think about it when you take the field Saturday night, but in the preparation for this game, when you've been getting ready for this, what part has felt the same of everything you've ever done in your life? What part has felt different? I mean, this is a top 5 matchup to open the season at a place like this, and on some level, it is a different experience for you, at least. How would you describe what it's been like?
It's the same process. The expectations are different. The expectations are different. So, but that hasn't changed what I do or how I do it. It's there. So you stay locked in, maybe even more than I have in the past. I'll think about all the nice parts about it when I get old and I can sit back and relax a little bit. But right now, it's just, you're right, the expectations are high, and the players expect you to be their leader and be locked in, and that's what I'm going to do.
Front row, middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, great question. You say
You want me to answer it again?
No. Why do you say that your defense is 100% ready? What makes you think that?
Well, we've put them through the crucible. We go against the nation's best offense every day. We've pushed and prodded and poked and tried to stretch them as far as they can go, right? So wherever they're at right now, it's 100%. And that's what I dial the game plan into. So, yeah, I'm confident.
Second row left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
I don't even know if you'd be able to answer this, but as a defensive guy, during your career, have you always been aware of when you're playing a first time starting quarterback? And is there a benefit to it for you guys as a defensive play caller?
I've always been aware. I don't think there's a benefit. I think that it's kind of a wild card. And you don't know what to expect as much, and you really got to be ready for everything.
So it almost is like more anxiety than it is. Maybe that's not the right word.
Yeah, who said anxiety? No, it's just you fall back, I think, more onto your system, and because you really don't know what to expect.
Right next door, Steve Hellwagen, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious, the 4 weeks of preseason, is there anybody from a personnel standpoint that coming out of the spring you're like lukewarm on, but has now had such a great 4 weeks of practice that they're in the plan this week?
But I've been talking about Lathan Ransom, right, because he was out, and he just had a great camp. And to come off an injury like that, and to do some of the things that he's done in practice, when you watch the film, I think anybody can see that he really jumps out because he has that intuitive feeling for where the ball's going to be, and he gets after it.
For our standpoint, it looks like you have 3 frontline defensive ends with Tui Maloau, Sawyer, and Zach Harrison back. How will that rotation go? I assume there's other guys in that mix too, but figure only 2 guys are going to start, but not get wrapped up in that.
That might be 2, might be 3, might be 4 DNs in there. We have a lot of depth. Coach Johnson handles that, and I'm behind playing them all as much as possible. We're going to keep them fresh and keep attacking.
Right behind him, Bill Landis, Rivals.
When you first got here and got the chance to work with Steele for the first time, did he appear to you like a guy who was still trying to figure out linebacker, or where do you think he was there? And what kind of growth have you seen over the last few months?
Yeah, Steele, he's growing every day into the position. He continues to be a work in progress. He's always learning. He's into it. We have some back and forth, which is good. But yeah, he's just been a guy since I've arrived that's gotten better, all the time.
Yeah, he does not seem hesitant to speak his mind, I guess, at least when he's talking to us. I'm assuming he's that way when he's with you as well. What's it like to coach a guy like that who wants to have that back and forth?
He's not as quite that much with me, but he will every now and then. And, yeah, that's refreshing. like I said before, with Jack Sawyer, I mean, I'm from Philly, so I like guys that can give and take and aren't afraid to do that. And that means that you have a good relationship. At least that's the way I look at it.
Bill's from Philly too, just FYI. Final questions over here. Third row, right? Are we good with that? Bill, you're good, right? Yeah. All right. Third row, right. Last set of questions. Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Jim, you strike me as a cerebral guy, more of a thinker than a rah-rah guy. How do you motivate? Do you consider yourself an emotional motivator, or how do you look at that whole topic?
I mean, there's times to be emotional and there's times to be steady, you know. So I think any good motivator reads the room, reads the situation, and you're able to amp it up and amp up the juice and the volume when you feel like it needs to be that way. Most of the other time, motivation comes from teaching and teaching and teaching and reteaching, right? And then you gain the respect that you know what you're talking about. So you give them a reason to do it, and you kind of show them how it works, and that's motivation, because you're showing them, you're teaching them, and then you're showing them a reason, like, this is why we do it. This is the why. And usually that's enough. And if not, I can get loud.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks. No,
I don't know how you do it.
Fourth year captain, rather. We'll open up over here to the right. Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
Jay's talked all month long, really all year, about wanting to see more toughness from you all. I know that that's one of your strengths. What tells you that 1 through 85, this team is tougher than it was last November?
I think when you come out and have a camp like we had, I mean, pretty much leave pads on for most of the camp, and nobody can play, and people get after every single day. You still wear pads pop on day 14 like they were on day 2. That means you're getting somewhere.
Third row right. Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
How do you guys tune out the noise? Everyone, half the country's picking you number one. What do you do when you hear that as a team? Is that kind of part of the responsibility of someone in your position?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing for this generation, I mean, put your phone down. I mean, if you don't read what everybody says, you don't hear what anybody says, you don't know. So, and a lot of times that comes through all the social media platforms. I mean, they can put us, I mean, dead last, and guys, we really don't care, to be honest with you.
Front row right. Tim May, Letterman Row.
Hey, I was asking Brian Davis to sleep a little bit better, knowing he's got a veteran returning quarterback who played on an extremely high level last year. I didn't ask exactly that way, but I wanted to ask you from a player standpoint, from confidence-wise with this offense, what does it mean to you knowing you have this veteran quarterback back who's done it at the highest level? Just how much more peace of mind do you have about what's coming, I guess?
I mean, it's more of a security blanket. I mean, CJ, it's the most talented guy I think I've ever seen with football in his hands. So, I mean, knowing that, and having the confidence in him to do what he's going to do, like we've all seen before, I mean, that's huge. I don't know if he sleeps any better at night because of that, but I mean, we love having him back there.
Third row left. Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Okay, obviously, in big games last year, you guys didn't have the success running the ball that you wanted to. What gives you confidence that you guys will be able to do that better in this week's game?
Just like I said, the off season. I mean, the way we practice, the way we've coached things, different coaching techniques. I mean, just come off the ball and just, I kind of feel like running the ball, it's the mentality aspect of it. So, I mean, if you say you're going to run the ball, I mean, we better run the ball, and that's kind of what we pride ourselves on a little bit.
You mentioned how talented CJ is. A lot of people look at that and say, you guys can just throw the ball around. But how important do you guys view it as being able to establish a run game first?
That's huge. I mean, you got to have a balance. I mean, you can't be one-sided either way. I we got guys that are talented in that aspect for sure, and we could go one way, I guess, but, it's all part of the toughest part and balance of this game out, and you gotta start running the ball.
Right next door, Bill Landis, Rivals.
Kate, what do you like about how Steel Chambers plays the game?
He's crafty. He's not, he's crafty, he's tough, he's just a smart, elusive player that, sometimes it's hard to get your hands on the points, and that kind of pisses me off, but, no, he's just a good, smart ball player, and he's got a knack for the ball, so 9 times out of 10 to find him on the ball.
How much better is he at linebacker now that he's had a kind of a full year?
No, he's much better. Just as anybody, you get better with time. And he's had a full year under his belt now, so he's a pretty good ball player.
Front row, middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Okay, you lined up next to Paris quite a bit, I'm assuming. What are your impressions of him? How good a player is he in KDB?
No, he's great. Super athletic, great player, good mind, and good attitude with it too. When it comes down to me, I like lining up across and beside guys that are like minds and like attitudes. You're gonna get after it. And he's one of those guys.
Did I get you? Okay, good. Steve, you okay? Okay, last question's over here. Brendan Gulick, deep left. Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Okay, you mentioned that you guys put your phone down. How easy is that, or how difficult is that? Because in today's day and age, man, there's a lot of people that just want to use social platforms to build their brand. Is that an easy thing for you guys to do during this?
At first, no, it's not. I think because a lot of times, that's just kind of how we grew up, I guess. But it's going to be there. It's going to be there on Monday. It's not going anywhere. This game, this is a temporary thing we go on here. So we're trying to grab on this with both hands. And it's a beat, hopefully.
I want to ask you about the tradition of these two programs. You can make an argument that there are no two programs in the country that have more tradition and history than Ohio State and Notre Dame. Do you have memories as a kid of watching those two programs, and what does it mean for you to play a game with two teams that have such history?
Yeah, as a kid growing up, these are blue bloods, coming back, you watch. I used to grow up and idolize James Ioannidis, like that's what I was going to be. It's what I was supposed to be, And with all the ties over there now, Ohio State ties and Notre Dame. There's a lot of stuff riding on this.
Okay, last question. The second row left, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Did you idolize James Ioannidis growing up?
Yeah, that was my favorite linebacker right there. It's tough and played fast and hard. Back when the game was tough and hard and fast, and that's what we're trying to bring back.
You met him?
Yeah.
Kate, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, folks, we're going to open up a little lightning round for Ronnie Hickman. Open up on right here, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
What sort of impact is Barry made on your group, and what do you like about it?
This isn't. Oh, I know. Is that this is knowledge of the game. You know, he's been around a lot, and he's been around a lot of elite guys. You know, just coming from having Sauce and Kobe over there at Cincy. But you know, he knows what he's talking about. The tips that he gives us and stuff to look out for. He kind of makes the game seem easy. You know.
Your personality too seems unique. Probably more so around you guys, or maybe not. You're not in your head. Like you get some of that too. Is that loosen things up? What's an example of how?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask, myself or one of the other guys in the secondary room, we talk about it a lot. Coach E's probably one of the funniest guys I think in the facility. But just off the fact that we're with him a lot and he's not with everyone else, we always say, I wish, to the other position groups, like, I wish I could see Coach E in meetings, just that energy he has, he doesn't miss a day. So we know he's going to bring that, so we just got to match that energy.
We'll go fourth row right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman row.
You talked to the big media days, we're excited about the defense, we talked to you a couple times in training camp. To finally be able to roll this thing out, almost like Raymond Vale, what you guys are about to do. How exciting is that for you?
Just really can't wait. You're putting a lot of work for it, in the summer, in the winter, all those workout hours and stuff like that, just finally be able to show the world and show everyone what we've been doing. Kids said it before our practice yesterday, the time is here, we get to show everyone what we've been putting in. So I'm excited, and so is everyone else in that room.
The defense was called safety driven by Jim a couple different times. But how important is it for you guys as safeties to have really, really good quarters on the outside to do what you want to do?
Yeah, having guys like Denzel, Cam Brown, and the younger guys in the room, just knowing that those guys can kind of take care of their side, and that when it's time for that one-on-one with them, you have confidence in them, whether that's feeling like you don't have to shade over there as much and stuff like that, being able to play other things, but just knowing that those guys are out there and they can handle their own is a huge feeling for any safety.
We'll go fourth row left, Jacob Benj, the Lantern.
Yeah, hey Ronnie, we talked about Tanner McAllister last week or the week before. He said that you and him gelled immediately, put together. Just both you guys are veterans, have experience as safeties. Just from your vantage point, how do you and Tanner work?
Yeah, Tanner's come from with him coming from that defense that Coach Knowles had at Oklahoma State is huge. He helps not only myself but anyone else in the room. Last night I'm watching film with Lathan and Cam, and he calls it T-Mac, hey, what will we go to in this check? And he's right down the spot with the answer. So just having someone not only in the same room, but on the field with you at the same time that you can trust and go to. And we have a really good connection. There's some stuff out there that we kind of it just happened on the fly. We get in the film in the media room, Coach E may ask us, did you guys go over this? And we're like, no, it just kind of happened that way. And just having that comfortableness with your other guys on the field is huge.
Front row right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
Ronnie, you barely had a chance to play with Josh last year. The opportunity for you two to team up, what can that be like? Are you excited to see what he can provide this starting Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I came in, I've been able to watch Josh be the great football player and the great athlete that he is. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it throughout the whole season last year, but it's nothing new to me. I knew what type of player Park was, and I knew what he brings to the table. So I'm super excited for him, and I can't wait to see him have a great season.
Right next door, Tim May, Letterman row.
Yeah, we were talking about this in Indy, and here you are now, but it seems like every time Tim Knowles talks to us, excuse me, I have a lozenge. He brings up Lathan Ransom and how Lathan Ransom is playing and stuff. What have you seen, and you expect big things out of him maybe from Jump Street?
Yeah, I touched on it, I think, last week. I said Lathan's probably having one of the best camps that I've seen, throughout my 4 years here. Just his ability to find the ball, whether it's punching it out, making the picks, or just coming down and physical. You ask anyone on the offensive side, they know how physical number 12 is. So just seeing him bounce back from that injury, I don't even think he's supposed to be healthy by now. But seeing him go to work in the offseason, and if you've been in the pit, if you've been hurt, you know how tough it is and how hard it can be to stay attached to something. And just seeing him grow and mature off the field and on the field is huge. I'm excited for that kid.
And what's Meyer, Meyer, right now, since you're tight end from your vantage point, what just jumps out at you about it?
He's a great athlete. I think Notre Dame does a great job of scheming him up and getting him the ball in different kind of ways. But yeah.
Right behind him, Doug Lamoreese, Cleveland.com.
Ronnie, for any defense, when you're getting ready to face a quarterback who's making his first start, we know Buckner played some last year, but what's the prep like for you guys when, maybe there's not a ton of film on that quarterback?
I mean, it's a great quarterback. Like I said, we're going against a great offense, and they're going to do what they need to do. They're going to prepare him now. We're just going to treat it like any other quarterback that we're preparing for.
And for this defense, when you have an offseason like this where you're installing a new scheme, you're getting used to new coaches, and all the work you guys have put in, can you just describe sort of emotionally, mentally, like right now, where you are? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Are you excited? Are you curious what this defense is going to be like? It's, there's a lot of the same guys, but this is a new defense. How are you feeling getting ready for this game?
After last year, I feel like I've gained some more experience as far as the nervousness before games and stuff like that. But you kind of, as far as that, you got to treat it like not any other game, but you just got to approach it like, you've been doing this. This isn't anything different than what you've been doing all your life. As far as the defense, I'm just excited for everyone else to see it. We've been getting more comfortable each day we go out there and dial in on things. But like I said, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait.
And right behind him, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Coach Knowles seems like a thinker more than a rah-rah guy, but he says he can get loud. Is that true? Have you seen him get loud? And how would you describe him as a motivator? How does he motivate?
It definitely has some truth to that. You don't see him too loud a lot, but when he does get pretty loud, it's probably like a big mistake or something like that. But that comes with it. I've seen a lot of coaches during my time here, a new one each year. So seeing how guys yell and react to certain stuff like that, he's definitely on the calmer side. But when he gets riled up, he definitely can for sure.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
And Ronnie, obviously, a couple losses you guys had last year, you guys really struggled to stop the run. What makes you more confident going into a big game like this that you guys are ready to stop the run?
Just seeing how well our D-line has played during camp and sitting in those meeting rooms and watching them go to work and stuff like that. It looks different. It feels different coming from the back end as far as the running back getting to my level without being touched and stuff like that. Coming downhill, I'm like, all right, could y'all let me make a tackle or something like that? But just seeing how those guys handle the line up front, how they're moving and showing different looks to the offense. For as a guy in the secondary, I just can't wait to see what those guys do.
When you guys know you are going against an inexperienced quarterback, is there more of a point of emphasis on stopping the run, forcing them to make plays through the air?
Yeah, I think generally, for a quarterback who doesn't have as much experience, they're definitely going to try to, establish the run game first, and we're prepared for that. I'm prepared for anything else they try to throw at us, but that's definitely something that we've been working on.
We've got time for just a few more. Over far left, Justin Holbrook, WCMH.
You mentioned mistakes, and you talked to Coach Knowles, and he said he owns the mistakes on game day. He says it's not your guys' fault, it's his fault, but he holds you accountable very quickly. What's that like to have the coach who will take accountability for you guys to want you guys to do the same during the week of practice?
It's huge. As a player, knowing that your coach has confidence in what he's going to call, it only kind of spreads out throughout the room and that defensive side. So just hearing the confidence from him and knowing that he knows what he's doing, it only helps us to go out there and just play fast and know that whatever call he puts us in, it's for the right, it's for the better.
Where does that confidence come from guys that don't have as much experience? Of course, a lot of guys came back this season, but there will be guys that rotated and don't have the same amount that you have or other guys on the field.
Honestly, I like to say you don't really get the real experience until you're really out there. But like myself and a few of the older guys in the room, just showing them the way and how it's done and how we practice on these earlier days in the week and how it really comes down to the preparation put in earlier in the week.
And final questions for Ronnie. Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ronnie, you mentioned they're kind of a great athlete. What makes it hard to stop tight end who's kind of built like that versus just the ordinary receiver in the past game? Is he similar to anybody you faced before?
Their ability to get open. There's a lot of great tight ends. And I think nowadays in college football, tight ends are becoming a lot more athletic. You're starting to see tight ends who can really run more routes in the route tree and just cause us a little bit of problems, matchup problems for linebackers, so to say. But just the way he gets open at the top of his routes. And like I said earlier, his offense does a great job of scheming them to get open with certain looks and hiding them and certain stuff like that. So we've just been drilling that in our meetings and going over practice.
Great. Ronnie, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks, man. Great job.
guys remember how hard it was to get ice cream at Michigan State press box? It's like frozen solid.
You can't even get to one hot dog pretzel.
Yeah, speaking of that, bring a lot of fives because meals are gonna be $5. Potatoes, $5. All right, folks, we're gonna open up with a lightning round for Paris Johnson, second row left. Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Paris, you finally get to play left tackle, and your reward first week is going to be you had 11 sacks last year, 6 forced fumbles. Just what are your initial thoughts on possibly getting that matchup?
I mean, he's a great player, like generational type of player. But I mean, I feel like the type of guy like he is, I feel like we have a lot of guys like him in this building here. So I feel like, I'm blessed to play for a program that has the same type of talent and ability across the board. So I feel like we have the best preparation here.
You like excited that that's what you get to?
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I came here. You know, I'm going to go against the best people, you know, every week. But I feel like, you know, it should be harder in practice too. You know what I mean? The type of people we have in this locker room.
We'll go front row right, Austin Ward, Rivals, 97.1 The Fan.
PJ, Coach, they've talked all month, all year about wanting this team to be tougher. What tells you 1 through 85 that this roster is tougher now than it was a year ago?
Honestly, I just think how much closer the two team has, because I feel like it's like if you're really not close with somebody, you can't be as honest with them. You know what I mean? And I feel like when you're closer as a team, you're going to be tougher on one another. You're going to be able to, you know, hit somebody in the face and be able to look at them and say, hey, I'll bring more next play. And being able to keep doing that, it really sharpens the man across from you a lot more, which will translate on the field, you know.
Tired of hitting your teammates?
Oh, yes, I am, yeah.
Okay, next question for Paris, front row middle. Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
The transition back to tackle, how smooth has that gone?
I would say, with help of Coach Fry, it's been a really good transition now. You know, I've had my times where I made, you know, early on in the spring, there were some slower moments, but I feel like, you know, it's all been positive, you know what I mean? And you're able to see the progression I've made from guard back to tackle.
And so many people are projecting you as a potential first-round pick, a high first-round pick. For a game like this, I know you're thinking about the game, not bad, but how important is this game to you?
Oh, this is the only game that I have my opinion. I'm not thinking about the game after that. This is the most important game. And like you said, with the draft stock and everything, like my mindset, I try to remind myself every day, that stuff, you know, the NFL will always be there. And you know what I mean? And if anything right now, I'm trying to think about that as a distraction, because the most important thing to me is beating Notre Dame. You know what I mean? So this is the most important game to me right now in this moment. Then next week when we talk, then Arkansas State's gonna be the most important game to me. You know, so I think that's the only way you should look at things.
Front row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about it, Paris. You've gone against it every day in practice, and I'm just wondering, what are people going to see about this defense? I know you're not going to give away secret stuff, but what are people going to see from this defense Saturday they didn't see last year?
I just think our defense plays a lot faster, and I feel like as an offensive line, there are times in practice, like, man, this is the same guy linebacker, but when he ran counter, he didn't play like this. Same exact guy. You know what I mean? So I feel like just the speed of everything has just changed. You know what I mean? And I think that guys just feel so comfortable in our defense that they're just, showing all their abilities. It's exciting to see.
And give me one name of somebody up front that's really caught your eye on that defensive side of the ball. A lot of people have been talking about Mike Hall through this camp, et cetera. I just throw that name out there, but who's caught your eye?
Mike Hall's caught my eye, for example, since he got here. He's physically just a strong human being. I would say Zach Harrison and JT. Honestly, I can name all the defensive ends. I can go down the list, top to bottom, our defensive ends. I think they've all just, been outstanding.
Over here to the far right, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
You were in this position a year ago where you're starting the season, you had some experience as a true freshman, but now you're in the starting lineup, and I don't know what sort of nerves you have. If anything, where is Donovan Jackson? Is he down in that position a little bit? Are you helping him with that? And how do you feel like he has come along in camp to this one?
I think honestly, if you were allowed to play 6 people last year on offensive line, if you're allowed to have a 6th position, he would have played. Like, he's that talented. So I think with me, just, me and Donnie are like this, we're talking all the time outside the field. And I feel like the way I want to help him this season, because he has all the God-given ability, the way I want to help him this season is the way I feel like Thayer Munford and Nick Petit helped me last year when I started, which is just always talking about stuff. It's not even about stuff on the field. It's just where to stay at, like, mentally as a young guy who's giving up the start, so he's going to be outstanding.
What do you mean, where to stay mentally?
I think just not overthinking things, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really have that problem, but, just trying to prevent that as much as possible. Like, Donnie's a guy where he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. So when he does, I'm like, hey, Donnie, are you okay? Because he usually doesn't. So I know it's not something on the field. Like, you okay? Are you overthinking this play? What's the problem? Talk about it, and he's done, and we move on. So he's super talented. There's not about it, Yeah.
Thank you, Paris. Front row right, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Paris, as far as the defense making progress this offseason, you've gone up against them in practice. When did it feel, I guess, they got really hard to go up against? When do you think they started to really kind of turn the corner?
I would say since the first day of spring ball with the pads on, just seeing their scheme. Like, there was one day in practice where they ran the same play every single play, and we didn't even notice because, the way, depending on our formation, that play looks different, but it was the same defensive play every play. And from that moment in film, I'm like, yeah, ran the same play every single time. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? So I guess for me, that's when I knew, this is going to be the best defense that we can prepare for, you know what I mean? So.
How'd they do with that one play?
What'd you say?
How'd they do against you guys with that one play?
It was pretty good, only because, I don't know, at least up front, it's our first time seeing this new defense. So, we really weren't taking the time to examine all that. We weren't trying to game plan against our own, team, but, really cool to see it,
Did I miss anyone else? Some questions? Okay, third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
In Paris, Mark Green was saying yesterday, he thinks a big key to this game is going to be, being able to stop your guys' running game. Kind of flipping that to you guys, how much do you guys view it as a point of emphasis of being able to establish a run first in this game?
I would say that is one of our rules of, as far as what it takes to win a game is the run game. You know what I mean? Like, everybody in the country knows that we can pass the ball. But I feel like my point of emphasis and what we're going to take pride in this season is our run game, move line of scrimmage. At least in the offensive line, that's what we talk about all the time. So,
when you look at their defensive front, what do they do well, and what are things you guys have to be able to do to run the ball effectively?
Just like us, they have a talented room, smart guys. They lift weights just like us. You know what I mean? So I feel like in these type of matchup games, honestly, it's just that strain and that the toughness and just that willpower to want to move him, more plays than he wants to stop moving. So that's what's going to take.
Is there anything specific that gives you confidence that you guys are going to be able to move the ball on the ground in a way maybe you couldn't against Michigan or Oregon last year?
I mean, frankly, I don't try to think about, the past and those sort of things. I always try to take those experiences and just try to use it as motivation and not allow that to happen again. You know what I mean? So I think it's we all have the ability, and that's why, we came here to play, but it's that mental pride of taking pride in the running game. It's not being like, man, but we can pass protect, we can throw him to Marvin, Jackson, to Mecca, whoever, you know what I mean? Just being like, we're just going to call our play, and you guys know what's coming, this is what's going to happen. So that's kind of been our mindset we've been trying to have.
Last questions. Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Harris, just this starting offensive line group, how confident are you that group is ready to go? And how exciting is that challenge, as Dan mentioned, the talent that Notre Dame brings on the defense?
Oh, yeah, they have a lot of talent, but I feel like, we bring the same type of guys here, and I feel like the training that we get with Coach Fry, Mike Saleni, Coach Mick, even sometimes we're doing our team periods here. Coach Wilson in the background, he has coaching points. I feel like we have the same type of development, toughness, as everybody else in the country. So I feel like that's what's going to take, to beat a talented team like this. Like, if everyone has talent, it's going to take that skill and discipline and just raw toughness to get it done. You know what I mean? That's going to be a difference maker.
Great. Harris, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
What's the jersey?